Hello again, Struckpub. Today I'm bringing you my reworked Forged Skills Showcase for 2021. After the Forge got a rework in 2020 in December, his core major mechanics changed in a big way, where he now has something called steam alongside the heat and alongside the venting mechanic, and certain skills got converted into Steam spenders. So this is a much needed video for some of you out there wondering whether the Forged is worth revisiting, or whether you are new to the game and are just wondering if the Forged class is your kind of class. Hopefully this video can show you all the types of things the Forge can do, such as throw punches, such as spin to win, such as shoot all types of different projectiles, poison projectiles, piercing projectiles, throw burning hot coal on your enemies from above, and bunch of other stuff. I will first start with the heat builders, then show you the vent spenders, and then show you the steam spending skills, and after that I would show you the utility skills. And the first heat builder I'd like to show you is Cyclone Mode, your typical spin to win skill, which unfortunately in this game does not move as quick as one might want it to, unless you use some sort of a glitch in the game that allows you to do this, to spin at base speed. And it's not just base speed, it's base speed plus all of the buffs. There are some item synergies right now. The skittering tail is not a bad one. But it's not as suitable for this one, because you have to make sure you're facing the right direction for this to hit, but it's still a synergy. So the skill itself is good, it's nice, and I really love it. It's one of my favorite skills. I just only wish they allowed me to move at base speed, excluding movement speed bonuses, and that I didn't need to use an exploit or a glitch to get it to move fast. The next one we're going to talk about is Rapid Strike. Another melee skill. It can also trigger certain things like the skittering tail. It also has this item, the face breaker, that you're seeing now, where as I'm shooting there's projectiles. You can see it has some nice range. It can hit that dummy over there. That's kind of the limit of my range of how far I could hit. Maybe it's a bug, but I couldn't hit if the dummy was further. And you can see with casting speed increase from the electrode relics, various skills, you can get it to be super fun. I think it's an amazing skill, and it goes very well for proc monster builds like Cyclone Mode. Next we're gonna talk about Rapid Fire, another skill, and that's good for proc monster builds. A lot of hits per second, a lot of procs per second. Synergies here would be the extra repeater, which gives you extra 10 stacks, which with the tier 1 bonus goes up to 23 stacks total. You can use the Mega Blaster, which kind of right now seems glitchy or buggy or not working properly. I wish they would look into that weapon more. But yeah, the Mega Blaster with Shotgonne Blast, which is coming next, is an interesting synergy between those two skills. But I think the Mega Blaster needs to be reworked in general, because nowadays, after this rework, it's pointless to get to heat builders. Two heat builders are kind of redundant in a setup, and I don't think the Mega Blaster needs to trigger from Shotgonne Blast. I think it needs to trigger from Critical Mass. That's how I at least think it should be. But this is a good skill, as I mentioned, perfect for Electrode or Flaming Destroyer builds to trigger procs. Next is Shotgonne Blast, which got changed. It got extra range. It became slower, and I think its damage got increased with the rework. So it's much slower now, as you can see. Before I could do that very quick. See, now this is with some casting speed, with 25% casting speed, so it's shooting quicker. And keep in mind, you can get the skill to be a little better, and I think it's not a bad skill, but I don't like it as much as the other builders. But at least the range is pretty decent. Look at how far I can hit. See, I'm hitting the 2 dummies now. Now I can hit the 3 dummies. So that's pretty good range increase. And yeah, it's a little bit slower, actually a lot slower than before, but it's still a fun build, although probably not as good for proc monster builds. But for AoE clearing, it's amazing for mobbing even now. And again, the Mega Blaster is the item synergy, which hopefully gets some sort of a rework soon to maybe not be Shotgonne Blast synergy, but critical mass synergy with rapid fire. So now we're moving on to venting, and there's two remaining venting skills. Vortex Bomb is the first one. It's nice. It's much stronger than the other venting skill, and I think it's not that this is overpowered, it's that the other one is underpowered. And you can use the Unstable War Arm as an item synergy, and you just saw me unequipping it to see how it's only one wave. But now when I equip it, when you vent, there's two waves, and the second wave is actually reaching much further than the first one, which is pretty nice. And there's a lot of synergies, such as the Mountain King Wheel, the Mountain King Gauntlets, and also the Skittering Tail for any melee skill. So this one gives you 50% armor, and it's much better and more worth using than Co-Launch, which is this skill. The skill we're gonna talk about next. Co-Launch. I think Co-Launch suffers from a few things. First of all, the range. It has slightly better range than the Sharpshooter's Onslaught, but I think Onslaught and this one need to be given a little bit more range. Yes, this one has a lot of AoE, and it can hit things that you wouldn't expect it could hit, such as, for example, that dummy on the bottom right side. You're gonna see in a moment how I'm gonna hit that dummy, and the Co-Launch would be much further from that dummy. And I'm gonna be trying to hit all 4 dummies in my fort with that. But you can see how I was pointing at the dummies, but did you see where the center of the skill is? Yet it still hit the dummies, which is interesting. It's interesting how it still hit the dummies even though it was far. And you can see now I'm hitting those. And I think the best thing they can do to this is to give it the similar effect of Vortex Bomb, but instead of giving you armor, it should give you damage, and that would be amazing. Now we're moving on to another thing, which is our movement skill, which can also be used to vent with the item synergy code, the Raging Beater. The Raging Beater right now allows us to vent, and it spends the steam and it gives us heat, but it doesn't trigger things like the Mountain King Wheel or the Mountain King, the other thing I linked earlier, the gloves. So yeah, we can't those to trigger, but there are synergies with the hatch, there are synergies with the hood that gives us extra movement skill triggers. Charges, I mean, and then there's synergy with Skittering Tail as well. So I hope they look into the Raging Beater and make the Raging Beater trigger things like the Mountain King Wheel and Gauntlets, and then that could turn into our third venting skill, and maybe replace even another venting skill in the build completely. Now we're moving on to steam, not steam spenders, but heat spenders. Actually, it is Steam Spenders, yeah. We're moving on to Steam Spenders, and this is Swag Shot. Swag Shot is actually renamed to Pressure Shot now, and it's amazing. It's my favorite. I think it can give you the most damage per second. Not the most damage per hit, but the most damage per second. And if you combine that with some casting speed from Electrode subclass, it can give you some amazing results. It has amazing range, it is piercing, it has nice reach, even on the sides of the projectile, so it hits a little bit from the side of the bullet. So I think it's best. I think it's the best steam spender in my opinion. There are no item synergies that I can think of that I've seen so far, but obviously with casting speed it goes amazingly well. The next steam spender is Critical Mass, another ranged barrage steam spender. And this got reworked. It was Furnace Blast before, now it's Critical Mass, and it has this bug that you saw just now, where we didn't see the full flame showing up, but it still does the damage, it still shows up, it's just a bug with the animation. But yeah, you see now how it looks when you have the full fire. It has okay reach. I wish it was a little bit wider on the side, a little bit of a wider angle, Maybe if it had less range but a wider angle, I would have loved it more. But it's not a bad skill. It's amazing, and it can do massive damage per hit. Maybe not massive damage per second, because it's tricky to get him hit and steam, but it's definitely amazing. Now, servo-driven uppercut was renamed to steam-powered uppercut. And this one, in combination with the servo blade, becomes a skill with cooldown, but it does more damage. So you're sacrificing some DPS, because you're getting cooldown, but you're getting only double the damage. And for the cooldown that you're getting, you can do more hits than 2. But the thing is, you get multiple hits per cast, and that's what actually gives you that extra DPS to make it worth using the servo blade. And yeah, skittering tail, another item synergy, and in general you can see what the difference is between using the blade and not using it. You can see without the blade you can just spam it, but it's just one target in front of you, whereas with the item you get that AoE cascading line of punches. Now, the next team spender is Fracking Strike, which also got reworked. And now, instead of doing one conical AoE in front of you, it does multiple. It does, I think, 7 or 8. I can't tell you exactly the right number. I think it's 7 or 8. But the thing is, it has some sort of a weird mechanic where if you're very close to an enemy, you might not hit it, which is super weird. See that dummy? One of the dummies didn't get hit. This one. Now I'm gonna do it again to the dummy in front of me, and you're gonna see it will not get actually hit by the Fracking Strike. See, no effect whatsoever on that dummy. And I think the best way to fix this skill is to give it a full 360 shockwave. It's gonna look cooler, it's gonna feel better, and it's gonna be more impactful if instead of multiple little ones, they make it full circle, one cascading wave. So it's good. It can also get a synergy with the skittering tail, because it's a melee skill. And I think many of you out there might like it, because you can get it down to 50 steam cost with the upgrade. And that's pretty nice, because with power projection you can vent, use the skill, use power projection, use the skill. And now we're moving on to some more of the utility kind of skills, such as, for example, Poison Dart, which is AoE poison, and with the Blight Maw you can shoot 3 projectiles. You can see clearly 1, 2, 3 different projectiles landing in different places. Obviously, if you get them to land into the same place, it would be better. But if you want to cover some ground, you can get that in different places. Now you can see with just the single projectile, it's still not bad. It still covers a decent amount of ground, and it poisons the enemies. And the tier 3 bonus is amazing, because it can give you some little bit of extra damage with explosions. So for trash mob clearing, it's pretty decent. The problem with some things like Poison Dart and other poison or damage over time skills is they do not get affected by poison weapon damage increase in the damage over time poison affix, for example. It only affects the on-hit effects, not the skills, and I think this should change. Now, moving on to power projection, which, as I mentioned during talking about Fracking Strike, is a skill that can give you steam. It can give you steam. It heals you as well. It can give you other things such as block chance. But what I normally use it is for the healing from the tier 1 and to give myself some extra steam. For example, I can use some steam spenders right after venting. And then instead of waiting for my venting skill to be on cooldown, I can use this and immediately get some extra steam. It goes very well with Fracking Strike when it's upgraded, because it costs 50 steam, and once you vent and use 50 steam, you would be immediately under 50. Even though you have 100 from the start, you would be under 50, and then using this skill before the next Fracking Strike would be amazing to do, and I do it on my builds. Next, we're moving on to Sonic Pose. Sonic Pulse got a slight rework in its tier 3 bonus, where now it gives the Steam spenders 40% increased damage. So not only does it apply vulnerability, but it gives us this buff on ourselves. So it makes the enemies take 40% more damage, but it also increases the damage, as you can see, of things like Pressure Shot, Fracking Strike, Critical Mass, or Steam-powered Uppercut. So the enemies take 40% more damage, and then on top of that, your Steam spenders do 40% more damage. I think right now, if you're planning on using a Steam spender, any type of Steam spender, even the basic attack, although I can't tell you whether this increases the damage of basic attacks, I think it should, because they spend Steam. This is an amazing skill to have in your arsenal, and I wouldn't make a build without it unless I'm skipping on the Steam spending, which are kind of weird builds, but they do exist. And that's pretty much it about this. To get notified when I upload more content for this game or other games like this one, which would be wooters of all varieties, isometric, third-person ARPGs, wooter shooters, and all sorts of wooters like that, you could subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on my content updates. And optionally, you can even join as a member of the Struck Club on YouTube as a channel member to get access to exclusive perks such as special emotes custom made by me, special badges custom made by me that represents how many months you have been a member for, as well as opt-in of editing tutorials that I can give for Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, as well as shoutouts and things like that. And I would like to use this part of the video to thank all my YouTube members and Twitch subscribers. Thank you for supporting the channel and keeping me going. Thank you also for watching this video, everyone. Keep it cool, Struck Club. Until next time, and goodbye.